Hi everyone. In this video, we are going to cover The Forsaken Merman by Matthew Arnold. The Forsaken Merman is one of the early poems of Matthew Arnold and was published in the year 1849. Arnold has drawn upon Hans Andersen's The True Story of My Life, translated by Mary Hobbit, and the Danish ballad Agnes and the Merman, adapted by George Borrow in his Romantic Ballads. The Forsaken Merman is the supreme expression of Arnold's lyrical genius. Here, Arnold does not preach but sings, not rapturously but plaintively. It is a narrative poem with a lyrical strain. The intense personal feeling, the note of poignant pathos, the imaginative quality, the description of the beauty of nature have heightened the appeal of the poem. Come, dear children, let us away, down and away below. Now my brothers call from the bay. Now the great wind shoreward blow. Now the salt tide seaward flow. Now the wild white horses play, champ and chafe and toss in the spray. Children dear, let us away, this way, this way. Call her once before you go, call once yet, in a voice that she will know. Margaret, Margaret. Children's voice should be dear. Call once more to a mother's ear. Children's voices wild with pain, surely she will come again. Call her once and come away, this way, this way. Mother dear, we cannot stay. The wild white horses foam and fret. Margaret, Margaret. Come, dear children, come away down. Call no more. One last look at the white-walled town and the little grey church on the windy shore. Then come down. She will not come, though you call all day. Come away, come away. The merman is anxiously waiting for the return of his wife Margaret. Since she does not come back, he asks his children to go away from the seashore and return to their residence at the bottom of the sea. His fellow mermen call him from the depth of the sea. The wind is howling and indicates the approach of storm. The water of the sea is retreating. The waves, with white crests of foam, look violent. They appear to be like restless, huge horses, foaming at their mouths, munching the weeds of the sea. The merman still waits on the seashore and asks his children to call their mother once again. The call of the husband has failed, but the call of the children is irresistible to the mother. In compliance with the request of the father, they call her by name, Margaret, Margaret. Yet there is no response, nor does she come back. The merman and his children, thoroughly disappointed, return to the bottom of the sea. The children leave with these words, Mother dear, we cannot stay without you. The merman knows full well that he is forsaken. In a state of despair, he asks his children not to call their mother anymore. Even if they call her all the day, she will not come back. They cast a longing, lingering look behind at the white-walled town and the grey church on the wind-swept seashore. Children dear, was it yesterday? We heard the sweet bells over the bay, in the caverns where we lay. Through the surf and through the swell, the far-off sound of a silver bell. Sand-strewn caverns, cool and deep, where the winds are all asleep, where the spent lights quiver and gleam, where the saltweed sways in the stream, where the sea beasts raged all round, feed in the ooze of their pasture ground, where the sea snakes coil and twine, dry their mail and bask in the brine, where great whales come sailing by, sail and sail with unshut eye, round the world forever and aye. When did music come this way? Children dear, was it yesterday? Children dear, was it yesterday? call yet once, that she went away. Once she sat with you and me on a red gold throne in the heart of the sea, and the youngest sate on her knee. She combed its bright hair and she tended it well, when down swung the sound of a far-off bell. She sighed. She looked up through the clear green sea. She said, I must go to my kinsfolk prayer in the little grey church on the shore today. It will be Easter time in the world. Ah me! And I lose my poor soul, Merman, here with thee. I said, go up, dear heart, through the waves, say thy prayer, and come back to the kind sea caves. She smiled. She went up through the surf in the bay. Children dear, was it yesterday? In these lines, the merman tells his children wishfully that it was only yesterday that they heard the church bells, which invited Margaret to go there to say her prayers. He recalls how he and his beloved wife lived happily in the cool and deep sea caves, where the winds were all asleep and where the weeds were swaying in the water. Only dim lights gleamed. The sea beasts were swimming all around, feeding on the ooze on the soft mud. The sea snakes were coiling and twining, drying their skins and basking in the salty water. Huge whales came sailing by with their eyes wide open and sailed across the sea without any cessation. Margaret left days ago. To the merman, however, it seems as if it was yesterday. He recalls with nostalgia that she used to sit on the red gold throne in the heart of the sea, with him and their children by her side. The youngest child sat on her lap. With deep love and affection, she looked after him and combed her golden hair. But as soon as the sound of the church bell reached her ears through the water, Margaret heaved a deep sigh as she imagined that she had failed in her duty as a Christian by not saying her prayers. She felt an irresistible longing to go back to the human society and pray in the church in the company of her kinsfolk. It was Easter time on the earth. Margaret felt the pricks of conscience for her inability to perform her Christian rites on the occasion. She told her husband that she was afraid of the damnation of her soul. The merman appreciated her religious sentiments and permitted her to go to the earth, say her prayer, and come back to her kingdom of the sea. She smiled and went up through the foamy sea. Children dear, were we long alone? The sea grows stormy, the little ones moan. Long prayers, I said, in the world they say. Come, I said, and we rose through the surf in the bay. We went up the beach by the sandy down, where the sea stalks bloom, to the white-walled town. Through the narrow paved streets where all was still, to the little grey church on the windy hill. From the church came a murmur of folk at their prayers, but we stood without in the cold blowing airs. We climbed on the graves, on the stones worn with rains, and we gazed up the aisle through the small leaded panes. She sat by the pillar. We saw her clear. Margaret, come quick, we are here. Dear heart, I said, we are long alone. The sea grows stormy, the little ones moan. But she gave me never a look, for her eyes were sealed to the holy book. Loud prayers the priest shut stands the door. Come away, children, call no more. Come away, come down, call no more. In these lines, we see the merman anxiously waited for Margaret to return, but she did not come back. The sea was growing more and more stormy and violent. Margaret's children missed her. The merman, a pagan as he was, knew that the earthly people said long prayers in the church. He therefore asked his children to accompany him to the town to bring back Margaret as soon as her prayer was over. They reached the seashore. They passed by the blooming sea plants and reached the town. Everything was quiet all around. The church stood on the wind-swept hill. They could hear the murmur of folks at prayers. The merman and his children stood outside the church and were exposed to the cold wind. The merman and his children walked across the graves and tombstones in the churchyard, worn with the rains. They looked through the glass panes of the windows with leaden frames in the church and found Margaret sitting by the pillar. They called out and asked her come hurriedly. The merman told her with tender solicitude that they felt lonely and unhappy without her. The storm of his soul was reflected in the storm of the sea. He complained that the children were weeping. Margaret, however, did not look at him. She was looking attentively at her Bible. The clergyman was loudly reciting his prayer. The door of the church were closed. The merman abandoned all hope of Margaret's return. He therefore told his children, in a mood of despair, not to call their mother any more and come back. Down, 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 down to the depths of the sea, she sits at her wheel in the humming town, singing most joyfully. Hark what she sings! Oh joy, oh joy! For the humming street and the child with its toy, for the priest and the bell and the holy well, for the wheel where I spun and the blessed light of the sun. And so she sings her fill, singing most joyfully, till the spindle drops from her hand and the whizzing wheel stands still. She steals to the window and looks at the sand, and over the sand at the sea, and her eyes are set in a stare, and anon there breaks a sigh, and anon there drops a tear from a sorrow-clouded eye, and a heart sorrow-laden, a long, long sigh, for the cold, strange eyes of a little mermaiden and the gleam of her golden hair. In these lines we see the merman, still with the lingering hope that Margaret may come back, ask his children not to call their mother any longer. They should better withdraw to the depths of the sea. He has formed an idea about Margaret's earthly life. She may sit at her spinning wheel in the town, humming with human voice and activities. She may sing in a joyous mood. She is happy to see the streets bubbling with life. She may watch a child with a toy, the clergyman and the bell of the church aglow with sunlight. She sings with full-throated ease. She is so much absorbed in her songs that the spindle drops from her hand, and the spinning wheel stops its movement. The merman feels happy to imagine that Margaret may at times think of her children. She may silently look through the window at the sandy beach and the sea. It is then, perhaps, that she will remember her children and heave a deep sigh and bitterly weep. She may say nothing, but her tearful eyes will tell a tale of her woe. She intensely desires to see her young daughter with golden hair, who may look coldly at her. Come away, away children, come down. The hoarse winds blow coldly, lights shine in the town. She will start from her slumber when gusts shake the door. She will hear the winds howling, will hear the waves roar. We shall see, while above us, the waves roar and whirl, a ceiling of amber, a pavement of pearl. Singing, here came a mortal, but faithless was she. and alone dwell forever the kings of the sea. The merman here mourns his lot. The rough winds blows coldly. The lights are gleaming in the town. The merman imagines that Margaret may feel upset whenever the storm strikes at her door. She will hear the loud roar of the waves when he and his children will keep awake or sleep on the pavement strewn with pearls, with amber ceiling overhead. They will sing a melancholy song that a faithless mortal woman came and stayed with them for some time. And now they are forsaken and are therefore feeling extremely lonely. But children at midnight, when soft the winds blow, when clear falls the moonlight, when spring tides are low, when sweet airs come seaward from heath starred with broom, and high rocks throw mildly on the blanched sands a gloom, up the still, glistening beaches, up the creeks we will hie, over the banks of bright seaweed, the ebb tide's leaves dry. We will gaze from the sand hills at the white sleeping town, at the church on the hillside, and then come back down, singing, "There dwelled a loved one, but cruel is she. She left lonely forever the kings of the sea." At midnight, the soft wind will blow. The moonlight will be reflected on the sea. The spring tides will be low. The sweet airs will come seaward from the heaths, spotted with flowers and bushes. The shadows of the rocks will fall on the moon-blanched sea. It is then that the merman and his children will proceed to the seashore, shining bright. They will hastily pass by the creeks and go over the banks of the bright seaweed, and look steadfastly at the white sleeping town and the church on the hillside. Afterwards, they will come back and sing about a cruel and heartless woman who left forever her husband and children, who are the kings of the sea. That's all for today's video. I hope you enjoyed the explanation. If you have any question or you want me to cover any topic, do let me know in the comment section. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching.